So I bought this laptop a little over 5 years ago, December 2020, on Christmas Eve. It has traveled the world with me. It has crossed borders. It has been beaten up. I have put it through its paces. I've dropped this thing at least 3 times on tile floors. I'm pretty sure I even knocked something loose when it comes to the connection with the screen because I have this horizontal artifacting that really doesn't bother me. And all of this to say, despite all of that, and despite all of the time that has passed, this laptop still performs the same way that it did when I bought it on Christmas Eve 5 years ago. And that's really the reason why this laptop is making another appearance on my channel 5 years later, and really the reason why people continue to rave about the M1 MacBook Air. It's no secret that right now a lot of people are feeling fatigue when it comes to the tech industry and tech companies. We have a lot of companies out here right now that continue to push out iterations of these products, to continue to buy, to continue to overconsume. Things are consistently getting more expensive and we're seeing less innovation with that price increase. And the funny thing is, Apple is not immune to that. Their iPhone line is one of the products that I'm talking about. But something interesting that's happened because of the introduction of Apple Silicon is that those laptops seemingly refuse to play that game. And one of the sentiments that you see from people, even with the current or the initial iteration of Apple Silicon, the M1, is that they don't feel the need to upgrade yet. These machines last, and I really want to talk to you guys about the journey that I've had with this laptop over the past 5 years. That brings me to the part of this video that I didn't know I was going to be the most excited to talk about, which is durability. Now, I know that I'm very fortunate within this regard. There are tons of experiences where people have had their MacBook screens cracked and had to replace them. But from my perspective, over the past 5 years, there have been accidents. I have dropped this laptop at least 3 times onto hard surfaces, majority stone or tile floors, from at least 4 feet high. And it has its dings to show for it. They're very tiny, very minor cosmetic things, nothing overly glaring. And the only issue that I really have gotten, which I'm assuming happened from the falls, is that there's these little weird horizontal lines that aren't blank pixels, but it just kind of looks like the screen is bumpy. It's very interesting to see. It can sometimes be annoying, but the screen is still functional. Like if I was in a bind and couldn't afford to replace the screen, I would be able to survive with the condition that this laptop is in. And furthermore, the only reason why I haven't replaced the screen is because it's about like 150 bucks, 200 bucks. And the laptop I think retails right now used for about $350 to $400. And at this point, because I've had it for 5 years, I may, Apple with their M Silicon has had me kind of looking at some of the MacBook Pro. So stay tuned for that, right? But all in all, this is not just a machine that has held up performance-wise, but also a machine that has held up physically over the past 5 years. But that brings me to the part of the video that I know everybody raves about with Apple Silicon, which is performance. However, before we get into performance, I want to take a moment to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this portion of today's video. If you are someone who is interested in creativity, learning new skills, or building things instead of endlessly consuming content, Skillshare is genuinely one of the better platforms out there. Skillshare is a learning platform built around actually doing things, not just watching videos. It's a place where you can explore everything from filmmaking and editing to hands-on things like baking or gardening to personal development topics that help you slow down and improve how you show up day to day. They offer creative classes taught by working professionals, and the whole idea is learning by doing. You're encouraged to make something, practice, and build momentum instead of just passively scrolling. One of the classes that really caught my attention is Transform Your Handwriting with Beautiful and Easy to Read Cursive. My handwriting has always honestly kind of been a weak point, and I really like the idea of sharpening a very tangible analog skill that you don't really get pushed towards in a digital-first world anymore. And I think that really matters right now, especially when so much of the internet is designed to keep you consuming instead of developing skills, curiosity, or confidence in yourself. I highly encourage you to check out Skillshare for yourself. The first 500 people to use the link in the description down below or scan the QR code get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about performance. Now, here's the thing. The MacBook Air line was never supposed to be a performance powerhouse. It was really for your students or people who just needed a laptop, right? People doing administrative tasks. However, because of Apple Silicon, this laptop is a laptop that 5 years later is beating laptops at its original launch price point with ease. Let that sink in, and it's doing it at a fraction of the power. So I'm not going to dive deep into benchmarks in this video because those have been widely available for years, but I want to talk about what the performance is like 5 years later after this laptop has been used over the course of 5 years, and you would expect performance degradation. Now, all I did was I simply opened up a DaVinci Resolve 1080p timeline, and I went ahead and I threw on 4K Blackmagic RAW, 4K ProRes 422 HQ at 120 FPS, 8K Redcode RAW, and 8K Nikon RAW. I threw on a 12 to 14 node color grade and playback was smooth. I edit on a 1080p timeline back there, and sometimes I don't always get smooth playback. Now, I'm not gonna cap with you. There are things that my workstation back there, my RTX 3080 and 5950X workstation can do that this laptop simply cannot and isn't meant to do. However, it's crazy impressive that I'm working with that footage on a $900 laptop and it's consuming a fraction of the power. And what the point of that is, right? All you have to do is update to a 4K timeline once you're done doing your editing and export your video. And so what does that mean for you? Not only is this laptop going to be good for administrative tasks, it's also going to be able to do much of the creative work that we do today. And my biggest thing when it comes to performance has always been, can I have smooth playback? Because if it plays, I can work. If I can work, I can deliver. And that laptop can do all of these things 5 years later. This brings me to what makes this laptop feel different than any other laptop that I've ever owned. And my relationship with laptops has always been, you get a new laptop, it feels really good out of the box. Perhaps that performance lasts for a year, and then slowly but surely, you start to see tiny decreases in performance. You end up starting to do things like, I'm gonna reinstall the operating system, and it just becomes a whole mess. That's not the experience with this laptop. Like I've said before, I can't say it enough, this laptop feels like it did 5 years ago when I pulled it out of the box originally. It still has amazing battery life, it sips power, lasts me all day long. The performance doesn't disappear when it's unplugged, it functions the same way that it does plugged in as it does on battery. And on top of that, this machine is virtually silent. There are no fans, which shows you how good the thermal regulation is and also how good the power consumption is. So you're getting so much performance using very little power, and kudos to Apple for being able to pull that off. That being said, there are some very real trade-offs with this laptop and some things I also wish I would have done differently when I was selecting my options for it when purchasing the laptop, because you can't change anything once you buy the laptop, which is also a downside or a trade-off. But the biggest thing is I/O, what you're able to plug into the laptop. There's no HDMI port. I get it. It's a small form factor laptop. There's only 2 USB-C ports, and there's only a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Really, that's one USB-C port, because if I'm doing anything that would be creative, or if I needed to use multiple drives, if I need to charge the laptop, I have to unplug something because it charges through USB-C. And personally, I'm not about the dongle life. That is a workaround, but I think the dongle is a trade-off. It kind of just makes everything more bulky instead of being able to plug it into the laptop. And furthermore, when it comes to when I bought this laptop, I really shouldn't have went with the base model. I didn't really plan on doing anything heavily creative, but I felt like 128 gigs was enough because documents are only a few kilobytes, right? Maybe a few megabytes. But over the course of 5 years, storage adds up. And then I found I'm throwing pictures on here and I'm doing stuff like that. And I have some apps on here. And so my advice, if you are watching this and considering buying a used one or purchasing something newer, right? Get the most storage that you can afford. Go all out on that, knowing that it's going to be an investment because it's going to last you for a long time. So with that being said, who do I think this laptop is for? And honestly, it's people who are being intentional with what they're buying, people who are intentionally buying used, cannot afford to buy brand new right now, students on a budget, parents on a budget, the high schooler that needs a laptop. And I say this with one caveat, right? I think this is a great machine. I would recommend the M1 to people with the caveat of knowing the M2 exists, the M3 exists. There's some really great used deals on the market with those laptops as well. And regardless of what M iteration you get, if you go one higher, you are getting more performance that's actually tangible. So that's just something to keep in mind. But really, it comes down to value, and I'm just going to put it this way. If you look at a Dell or Lenovo right now on the used market for the same price, this laptop is going to kick its behind leaps and bounds. And I'll take that a step further. If you look at a laptop that has come out in 2025 or whenever you're watching this video in 2026, Dell, Lenovo, whatever, at the price point this laptop retailed for when it came out, most likely, I would bet good money, it's probably still going to outperform that brand new laptop. And that is, again, 5 years later. So my final thoughts are simple. Kudos to Apple for Apple Silicon. Looking at the first generation, being an early adopter, just how much it's progressed, what they're still doing. It's very much so an outlier within the tech industry. I have never been a certified Apple hater. I've always been like, you know what? I have an iPhone, I have an Android, I have a MacBook, I have a Windows, whatever. Sometimes I get bored, sometimes I switch. But I've been really considering, what are they gonna do with the M5, the Max, the Ultra, whatever comes out? I have my eyes on that. The point is, good tech should last. It's okay to not overconsume. It's okay to buy intentional. It's okay to buy used. Your machines should continue to perform year after year, and this one does. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications if you have not. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below. And leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think about Apple Silicon or your experience if you own an M1 MacBook Air. And are you looking to upgrade at this time and why? Now more than ever, my beautiful people, if you are ever feeling uninspired, uncreative, or just want to give up on life, remember, every day, airplanes take off against the wind. Keep climbing, stay inspired, guys. And as always, stay fabulous. My name is Sydney. I will see you beautiful people next time. Peace out.